Right now, the World Economic Forum's taking place in Davos. You got Maria Bartiromo with a little Switzerland fit. Okay, Maria, we love it. And before we get some clips of this event, feels like it's a chance for world leaders to figuratively, all collectively scream at Trump, stop with the insane trade wars, which you'd think that's an important topic to bring up at the World Economic Forum. And stop with this, you're going to invade Greenland. Please stop, is what they're collectively shouting at Trump. We'll look at some of those clips. But first, as Trump is getting ready to head himself to Davos, all of the whispering about him behind his back is getting ready to begin. And he is leaking private messages from world leaders. In this case, it's Emmanuel Macron of France. And Trump posted this on Truth Social, which, imagine texting another world leader and having to worry about them just posting it on their social media platforms. So Macron wrote to Trump as they head into the World Economic Forum: "My friend, we are totally in line on Syria. We can do great things on Iran. I do not understand what you're doing on Greenland. Let us try to build great things. One, I could set up a G7 meeting after Davos in Paris on Thursday afternoon. I can invite the Ukrainians, the Danish, the Syrians, and the Russians and the margins. Two, let us have a dinner together in Paris together on Thursday." Come on, Emmanuel. 2 togethers before you go back to the U.S. Signed, Emmanuel. And I know it's kind of cringe. The reason why Trump is posting this most likely is to show that, see, Macron's inviting me to dinner. Everyone says everyone hates me, but he wants to have dinner with me. But this is what the world leaders have to do. In a second, we'll get to Newsom being like, grow a backbone, people. You can't let Trump just slap you around like this. And in a sense, they are sending troops to Greenland, speaking out against us. But then Trump's tariffing them if they speak out against him, acting like he's going to take a different country's territory. But at the same time, they have to do the wine and dining of Trump to try to win him over. And all this insane behavior, Trump posting the letter he wrote to the Norwegian prime minister saying, now that you didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm not going to be thinking so much about peace. And now I'm going to get a little bit crazy, was the essence of the letter. Media had an op-ed saying Trump's bizarre behavior has a clinical name: disinhibition, tied to dementia. Maybe that's why he's getting particularly crazy. Jake Tapper wrote, in the middle of the night, the president was posting private messages from European leaders criticizing the UK and sharing a fake image of a map in which the US controls Greenland, Canada, Venezuela, and Cuba. Psychotic is what you call that. Disinhibition. You know what my clinical term for it is? Psycho. And at this event, here's one thing he posted. One other thing. Look at this. An AI image, I guess, of him sitting with a bunch of world leaders, showing them a map of the U.S. with all this extra territory. Scary stuff. And, that makes me feel better. That's a crazy hat. Here is Emmanuel Macron during his speech. And he has these glasses on. Apparently, he had like a blood vessel rupture in his eye. But it kind of just looks like he's rocking out in Davos, where he does call out Trump.
And it's a time of peace, stability, and predictability. So let's try to address the key challenge of this world in a few minutes' time. But it's clear that we are reaching a time of instability, of imbalances, both from the security and defense point of view and the economic point of view. Look at the situation where we are. I mean, a shift towards autocracy against democracy, more violence, more than 60 wars in 2024, an absolute record, even if I understood a few of them were fixed, and conflict.
So another shot at Trump. I also have a ruptured blood vessel, so I have to wear these glasses. Please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. We have a lot to look at in this segment as these world leaders meet.
Has become normalized, hybrid, expanding into new domains: space, digital, information, cyber, trade, and so on. It's as well a shift towards a world without rules, where international law is trampled underfoot, and where the...
I know that was his accent, the trampled pronunciation, but it sounded like he said trumpled. International law is being trampled. Was that on purpose, Emmanuel? Emmanuel, you son of a gun. You sexy speaking son of a gun.
Only law that seems to matter is that of the strongest, and imperial ambitions are resurfacing. Obviously, the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, which will enter into its fourth year next month, and conflicts continue in the Middle East and across Africa. This is as well a shift toward a world without effective collective governance, and where multilateralism is weakened by powers that obstruct it or turn away from it, and rules are undermined. And I can multiply the examples of international bodies weakened or left by the key economies.
You know what we're talking about here. You know exactly what we're talking about. I could, especially with those glasses on, I could use for a little bit more directness, but I understand you say one little thing that hurts Trump feeling, and then you have a global catastrophe, and then he says, you didn't give me a prize, so I'm going to invade a country. It's also weird to say to Norway's leader that because he believes Norway should have put their finger on the scale of the Nobel Prize Committee, that means, hey, Norway, you're to blame if I invade Greenland, Denmark's territory. That's kind of a weird, he made me do it. He was like, you don't even like peace. And I was like, fine. You want to see not liking peace, bitch? Like, what a weird, it's not even victim blaming because you're blaming someone else. It's strange. Here's more from Macron.
Examples of international bodies, and when we look at the situation, it's clearly a very concerning time. Competition from the United States of America through trade agreements that undermine our export interests, demand maximum concessions, and openly aim to weaken and subordinate Europe, combined with an endless accumulation of new tariffs that are fundamentally unacceptable, even more so when they are used as leverage against territorial sovereignty. But we do prefer respect to bullies, we do prefer science to plotism, and we do prefer rule of law to brutality. We have a place where rule of law and predictability is still the rule of the game.
I know I say this, I don't want to be that guy every single time we look at a Macron clip, but it's weird how in that particular, and this is just a compliment, that particular accent, it's just hashtag blessed. You know what I mean? Like hashtag blessed. Because I'm just saying, you get to get up there with the glasses on. All right. And everyone's like, you know what? Emmanuel can do it. I don't know why. He can. A ruptured blood vessel? Sure. Maybe he's having a little bit too much fun at Davos. And then you get to talk about this horrific situation we're in and how the world's being destabilized by the US president, but it sounds like you're seducing us while you're doing it. It's crazy. That's so cool.
You're my daddy.
Yeah, sometimes. Then you have the EU president also taking a shot at Trump. They're all taking their turn as they should. And I actually think they could go a little further. But I also understand, as I said before, like what we talked about with Zelensky. Of course, I wish Zelensky could go in the Oval Office and be like, you are being crazy. But then, have you said thank you once? Vance is going to jump in and like smack Zelensky or something.
When it comes to the security of the Arctic region, Europe is fully committed. And we share the objectives of the United States in this regard. For instance, our EU member, Finland, one of the newest NATO members, is selling its first icebreakers to the United States. And this shows that we have the capability right here in the ice, so to speak. It shows that our northern NATO members have Arctic-ready forces right now. And above all, that Arctic security can only be achieved together. And this is why the proposed additional tariffs are a mistake, especially between long-standing allies. The European Union and the United States have agreed to a trade deal last July. And in politics, as in business, a deal is a deal. And when friends shake hands, it must mean something.
Yeah, so he makes these trade deals. She's talking about the EU, and then turns around and gets upset and then violates the trade deal to punish them economically. And the word of the United States should mean something. I know that sounds woo-woo, but geopolitically, economically, politically, specifically, I can keep going all day, baby. Democratically, charismatically, you have to be able to say, as the most powerful country, we will give you our word on something in exchange for something else. And the reason that you would enter into that agreement to benefit us is because you know we'll keep our word. And Trump's obliterating that, just obliterating it. Now on Greenland, this is from a different time. This wasn't the World Economic Forum, it was a little while ago, but you have a Danish politician summing up what a lot of the people wish they could be saying at this event to Trump.
Let me put this in words you might understand. Mr. President, fuck off.
There it is, right? It didn't really sound like F off. It sounded like buck off. Then you get the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, getting up on stage.
We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false. That the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient. That trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused or the victim. This fiction was useful. And American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security, and support for frameworks for resolving disputes. So we placed the sign in the window. We participated in the rituals. And we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality. This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance, health, energy, and geopolitics have laid bare the risks of extreme global integration. But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion.
I do love the way some of them keep it vague. In recent months, a very strong, big country was real bad. And that country, who shall not be named, has a really irritating leader. And that leader seems to be a narcissist. It's like whenever Sean Ryan was talking to a guy and the guy was like, I have a problem with this congressman. I won't say his name, but he's a Republican congressman and he wears an eye patch. You're like, I think that's just Dan Crenshaw that you're talking about, but a similar vibe going on there. And I do appreciate all of you sticking around watching these. I know it feels a little bit, right, a little slow, but it's important. It's really globally relevant.
Have begun using economic integration as weapons. Tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited. You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination.
I mean, that's kind of the message they're all feeling, is that Trump has leveraged our previous promises of cooperation to actually abuse that integration for Trump's own flagellation, right? And I don't think it could have been said better than that. And so I'll just leave it there. Then you have Trump administration officials already there a little bit ahead of Trump, like Lutnick. There he is.
The deep nuance of Howard Lutnick.
Yeah. How would you describe the way you look right now, Howard?
It's gross. gross.
Okay. And he was up on the stage like, I don't want to talk about Greenland. Ask someone else. And the other panelists are like,
Can I bring you back to Greenland?
No. It's unnecessary. It's the Western Hemisphere is vital for the United States of America. Our national security people are on it, and they care about it, and I'm going to leave it to them to address with our allies, with our friends, and with everyone how they work it out. But the Western Hemisphere matters to the United States of America, and the United States of America, as I've just articulated, really, really matters to the world. When America shines, the world shines, because they all need to make sure America is strong and powerful to take care of them.
he always talks like he's talking to a baby. He always talks like we're a classroom full of little kids. When America shines, the world shines. There's the world, America's in it, but it's very influential, and there's something called the Western Hemisphere, and it really matters to us.
God forbid. And so I think America and the Western Hemisphere are vital to America, and I'm going to
Oh my
leave
gosh, dude. Man, he's so stuck in talking points. It's like, why do you think you can obliterate international norms and guardrails that we've helped to establish? The United States has been critical in upholding and establishing and violating, but also establishing. And why do you think you could just crush that because Trump wants to see a bigger map? Which is all this is about, by the way. He posts the photo of that map that I showed you where you got Greenland and Canada, whatever. That's all this is about. He goes, no. He wants to be known for making a map of the U.S. look bigger. That's it. You know that's how his brain works. So why do you think for that motivation it is appropriate to even be speaking about military force against an ally's territory? And all Lutnick has memorized is something vital Western Hemisphere America. Like he just keeps repeating that.
America and the Western Hemisphere are vital to America, and I'm going to leave that to my national security people to address.
Right. The rest of us, I think, are finding it harder to make that kind of separation clearly.
So true. Good on that guy. Then Besson's out being interviewed and he's doing the weird thing of like, we know we punched you in the face, but do not escalate. Calm down. Okay, so we broke your nose. Chill. Oh my gosh, you're so sensitive.
Against themselves.
All right, let's talk about.
But Joe, what I do want to say is, same thing that I said after Liberation Day on April 2nd. Everyone, take a deep breath. Do not escalate. Do not escalate. And President Trump has a strategy here. Hear him out, and then everything will be fine.
Okay, so if you're saying, you remember what I said after Liberation Day, which was everyone just relax, you're going to be fine as long as you give Trump what he wants. He has a plan, it'll all go well. It didn't. And then he didn't have a plan. He didn't. He rolled out the quote unquote reciprocal tariff plan. That you remember that chart? That feels like that was 10 years ago, but he had that chart and everyone's being tariffed because the reciprocal tariff, but then you learned that it wasn't actually reciprocal at all, and they had this really weird formula, and they were tariffing everybody, and then they rolled back a bunch of them, and then they reimposed a bunch of them, and then they rolled back a bunch of them, and then they imposed, and that's not a plan. And it didn't serve anyone well to go, we trust in Trump's plan. And that's kind of what Newsom was calling out in the clip, because he's also at the World Economic Forum that you'll see here.
Do you have a message for Europeans who are concerned about the messages from the White House around Greenland this week?
Yeah, it's time to buck up. It's time to get serious and stop being complicit. It's time to stand tall and firm, have a backbone. I've seen this in the United States, the supine Congress playing both sides, say one thing on a text or a tweet and another publicly. It's time to have principles. It's time to stand tall and strong.
Does that mean responding with
tariffs?
tariffs?
Time to stand united. You make that determination. I don't make that determination.
But when you say standing tall, what do you mean?
I can't take this complicity. People rolling over. I should have brought a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean,
oh, he dropped the knee pads. Oh, he brought up the knee pads. Oh, don't you dare say they sold out on our website like how corporations sold out. Don't do it to me again, Gav. Don't do it. The knee pads. Because they're sucking. That's the reference. It's crazy. We're at the World Economic Forum. Hey, love it. By the way, it sounds like I'm criticizing. Love it. But it's just a crazy world we're in. We're the governor of the biggest state in the United States. 4th largest economy. More Nobel laureates. Etc. Fortune 500 companies. He's there being like, I can give you some knee pads so that you can suck easier. But that's the world we're in. Hey, Trump brought us down in the mud, so now we're all just wrestling in it.
This complicity, people rolling over. I should have brought up a bunch of knee pads for all the world leaders. I mean, handing out crowns and this is pathetic. Nobel Prizes, they're being given away. I mean, it's just pathetic. And I hope people understand how pathetic they look on the world stage. I mean, at least from an American perspective, it's embarrassing.
So what should Europe be doing?
You should decide, the Europeans should decide for themselves what to do. But one thing they can't do is what they've been doing. And they've been playing. This guy's playing folks for fools. And it's embarrassing.
Yeah, sorry, he said the Peace Prize. He's talking about Machado giving her Peace Prize to Trump. I'm thinking it just reminded me, because the world we're in moves so fast that you forget of these things. FIFA created a FIFA Peace Prize. The soccer people created a FIFA Peace Prize and gave it to Trump. Then Besant went really viral for this, saying, as we deal with the housing crisis, we just want to make sure that rules that we impose don't hurt your mom and pop homeowners. Like whenever your mom or your dad has 5 to 10 houses as a retirement investment. We don't want to hurt them, he says.
Post the financial crisis, institutional investors hoovered up single-family homes. They continue to do it, and there's an unfair tax arbitrage there. You and I have a mortgage. We can deduct the mortgage amount. Institutional investors can deduct the borrowing amount, but they can also expense any repairs and depreciation. So we think that it is a good idea to have them out of the market. We are going to give guidance at some point to see what is a mom and pop that someone, maybe your parents for their retirement, have bought 5, 10, 12 homes. So we don't want to push the mom and pops out. We just want to push everyone else out.
Yeah, we don't want to push out the mom and pops who have 12 houses. Oh, Scott. I mean, some of what he's talking about with institutional investors is something that needs to be addressed and is a big problem, but just his out of touchness showed there. And Newsom got in the front row to kind of troll, it feels like. So he was in the front row staring down Scotty B, as you can see there. And then I found this interesting. Anderson Cooper said to Ruben Gallego, the Democratic senator, wait, you think Trump's insane? Like literally insane? And Gallego's like, yeah.
It seems like European leader strategy so far has been to basically try to de-escalate, reason with the president, find some kind of an off-ramp. Do you think there is an off-ramp?
No, and I've been very clear. He is a madman. He is insane. He's only thinking about himself. Everything you're hearing, and
you
whatever
really think
Marco
he's
Rubio is
insane?
saying, whatever J.D. Vance are saying. I'm sorry. Where are we at this moment where we don't understand what's happening in this country? The man is threatening war against a NATO ally, and we're all thinking this is rational, right? Let's accept what's happening here. He is not rational.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what. Something was so weird about that. Like, Anderson Cooper is I like Anderson Cooper. He's such a landmark TV host. Like, he's when I think of a news anchor, it's Anderson Cooper. It feels like he's been around forever. He's always on the TV. CNN, news guy. Great. A lot of respect for him. So then you have this aesthetic of like olden times. And I mean recent, like a decade ago. where a politician says, I think Trump's insane. He's like, so do you think he's really, literally insane? It's like, I guess, yeah. What does literally insane mean? The definition of insanity is doing that. Have you ever heard that before? That's the definition of insanity. Is it? Okay. Anyways, but I do think it's pretty fair to use the I word